Joining us on the show once again today is a familiar face and returning champion, of course, to this podcast. A man you all know best, of course, as the head coach of the 2023 NCAA Championship winning women's team. Welcome back to the show, UNC women's tennis head coach Brian Kalbas. Coach, it is always good to see your smiling face. Welcome back to the program. How are you and the Heels doing today?
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you having us on. It's exciting to be speaking with you. It means that we're still playing. So, this is always a good thing. Always a good thing. So, thanks for having me.
No, it is always a pleasure, Coach. And yes, you have, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look on it, been burdened with coming on the show far too many times over the years. And obviously, it's always nice to celebrate a victory. The Tar Heels fresh off of a victory over South Carolina to advance to the round of 16. Let's just start there because that match did get a little tricky. Anyone who tuned in and I got the chance to call it, certainly South Carolina made their push, but for a particularly young group to get through in that fashion early in the tournament, what did you learn about the group? What did you see from them on Saturday?
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for South Carolina. I mean, they play just like the ACC and SEC, a really tough conference. So, they were battle tested. They'd beaten Auburn, and Kevin does a great job, and Axel just really preparing them and making them better. And then you could tell that they were coming in with a lot of confidence. So we knew it was going to be tough, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. Doubles start off really good. We really did a great job of earning that doubles point. We talked about before the match. At this point in time, it's nothing's given, nothing's guaranteed. So you have to go out there and earn it, and we earned that doubles point. And then singles was a battle. I mean, we were you knew they were going to make a push. Carson won the first set pretty easily, and then the girl came back and played really, really well. Thea was really great, and Alanis to get off pretty routinely. That helps you when you win the doubles point. But then, I think we won a couple of close first sets. Claire won a very tight first set, which really helped us, and Tatum won a tight first set. And then so again, they made a push, and Reese losing the first set, coming back and winning that second was huge for us. So really, every player in our team did their job as far as competing to the best of their ability against a very good South Carolina team.
Yeah, it was impressive to see, and certainly it feels like for your team all season long, one of the biggest strengths has been that doubles point. And obviously in the fall, you saw Carson and Susanna click the way they did, Thea and Tatum clicking the way they did. It's funny, I thought I just said Thea's last name because so often you just say Thea Tatum as a
Yeah.
doubles pairing. Obviously getting Reese back as well with Alanis. Before I ask, though, a tangent off of that doubles point, and it was another coach I recently interviewed. I think you can guess who it is who wanted me to ask this question. Why did you switch things up in the NC State regular season match? Like, where did that changing of the doubles pairings come from in that moment? Just curious, given particularly how successful all three teams have been all year.
Um, well, a couple reasons. One, I think I've been coaching, for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And back in 2007, there was a player that I coached who was a senior. Her name is Sarah O'Leary. Used to be Sarah Annenson. And she and Jenna Long had got to the NCAA semis as juniors. And their senior year, they wanted to win the NCAA's. I knew they were going to get in the tournament as a doubles pairing because they had done so well throughout the year. Um, and Jenna got sick. We were at Notre Dame, and Jenna got sick, and then we had to play without Jenna. And then all of a sudden, we had Sanaz and Caitlin Collins playing one, and they were a very good team. And then, and then we put Katrina Sang in there with Sarah, and then we put Austin Smith with Jenna Long at three. I was like, oh, this might be good because Sarah and Jen at the time were a little kind of spatting. It was just not they were not getting along that great. So I was like, maybe this Jenna flu that came about was probably a blessing in disguise. And so I really learned then that sometimes you cannot really go a whole season playing the same doubles pairings and having success when you need it. And you look at 2023 where we split our teams up and they came back and then we had two doubles teams that ended up making the NCAA doubles finals. So I really felt that that was one thing. And I give Tyler Thompson the most credit. At that point in time, we had lost at Clemson at 1 and 2 doubles.
Hmm.
Okay, that's one of the only doubles points we really lost. And Reese and it was our first match outdoors, and Reese and Hemi lost at 1, and then Carson and Suze lost at 2, and it was just not good. And so we were heading to spring break, and a lot of time on spring break, a lot of time to think, and so we did a lot of doubles work on spring break, and I was like, you know what, we're going to try some different combinations because it's early in the season, and we're going to go with some different combinations and see what happens. Um, and obviously we realized that we didn't have a doubles problem. We just had a kind of a kind of just making sure we had the right mentality, throughout. And we established that. And so since then, since we've gone back, we've really fine-tuned some things. Lindsay Zink has been a huge asset to our doubles. She's played quite a bit. So we tried to think about some different options, splitting Reese and Hammy up, and that didn't quite work because they're so good. And then Susan Carson have been really good. So, and then Tatum and Thea have really gelled. So I think ultimately, what we try to do, sometimes you don't know what you have until you try some other things. And we realize that we actually have some really good doubles combinations.
Yeah, no, certainly
Oh, and
again.
Sarah and Jenna won NCAAs that year, by the way. I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm saying that I'm you can if you ask them, they may think that that was probably the best thing for them.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you should take credit for it. I every year, because of the success Elaine and Melody have had, I always ask her, "Do you think you and Jenna could beat them?" And I asked her again this year. It's just I like to do it until she gives me the answer I'm looking for. She continues to say no. That team could play. That's a team, and certainly I like that. I will have to ask her about that the next time I interview her as well. And certainly just with this group being as I mean, again, for those who are familiar with Tar Heel tennis, and I imagine a lot of listeners tuning in are, this was a turn to a new chapter. Like, obviously, what Fiona and Scotty and Annika and Riley and just that class had accomplished their 5 year run. A run that will forever be remembered. I'll write about it in my eventual college tennis history book. How different, I don't want to, fresh is the wrong connotation, but I don't know how else to say it. How fresh of a start has this year felt? How different has it been to the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's been really different. I mean, adding two players in January in Claire and Alanis, that was interesting. Those two should be in high school right now, graduating early, and then Tatum taking the red shirt off last year, so she's supposed to be brand new. Um, and really Thea and Tatum both playing 6 and 7 last year. In and out of the lineup, and then basically, claim the 2 and 3 spots, both playing extremely great tennis. The being an All-American, Tatum having just an amazing year. So just new players, new roles, new responsibilities, and new chemistry. And then obviously the biggest thing was Reese coming back. I mean, she hadn't played, uh, in 11 months, and her first competitive match was against Annabelle Zhu from Virginia, and she wasn't ready for that match, and the light bulb came on for her in the Wisconsin match against Sharlikova, and so becoming ACC Player of the Year and just having the year she's had has been remarkable for her and for our team, and you can see the development of all of our players. So everybody's gotten better, and it's exciting to see, because where we were, we talk about where we are in chunks of a month at a time. January 20th we played Virginia, okay, and lost at Virginia, having match points with Claire against Collard. And then February 20th, we were just coming off indoors, having again lost to Virginia, having two different match points with Atlantis and Thea. And then March 20th, is obviously close to, when we, played, NC State and Duke. And then April 20th, now, you're talking about, beating Virginia after losing to them twice. So, and Claire, seeing the development, beating Collard as soundly as she did. So, just, the proud factor of a coach just to see the development of our players, from basically the beginning of the semester till now. So it's been fun.
On your end, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to the current group, but everyone knew how good the former group was January 1st of every year because it was the same group because they were able to stack results upon each other over and over again. That journey of going from again, the 6 team match points you guys had indoors against Virginia to now beating them in the fashion that you did in that ACC tournament final. I don't know if there's a question there, but it's just like it's been a while since you've had a journey for a team like that. What's it like on your side?
It's amazing. In the past years, we rarely lost. We've rarely lost, so we don't really know how to respond.
Yeah.
Okay, until it was the end of the year and we couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2023, losing to State in the ACC finals was great for us. Okay, so these losses that we had, two to Virginia, okay, one to Duke, one to Auburn, they were they were they were good for our team. And so um, the youngsters didn't really know that our program didn't really lose that much. So, but the Reese and the Carson and Lindsay, okay, Thea kind of knew it. Tatum still was pretty new. They kind of didn't have that understanding. They knew, that we didn't lose that much. So I think for them, it was a little bit of a shock to their system that, okay, how is this team going to respond and rebound and the whole season we talked about how we were a work in progress but the good thing was we were making progress, so we were getting better and we were working to get better, and we were working to get having a lot more growth in our program and trying to establish an identity with this team. And it's exciting to see them progress the way they did.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a journey, certainly. And you mentioned there a little bit earlier Reese Brantmeyer and what she's accomplished again. Serious knee injury last year, unable to play the fall. Like, I think we can say it now because of all the success she has had. Watching her against Annabelle Shu, like the panic meter immediately goes off because to your point, she looked like someone who hadn't played competitive tennis in 9 months. And to go from that to beating Dasha at Georgia in 2 weeks, like how? How does that happen, coach? And you've gotten a front row seat to it. Talk to me about the work she puts in behind the scenes to get to the point now where she's once again top 5 in the country.
Well, I mean, you know the history of her. She was the best player coming, and she probably could have gone pro. And obviously, her talent is unmistakable. I mean, it's incredible. But she is by far um, the best person in the planet of tennis, non-tennis. She is just an incredible person. Has been a great leader. She and Carson and Lindsay. But how I found out the kind of person she is when she was out for 11 months, and how much she cared about the team and how much she was there for each player and how much she really wanted to get back. And but last year in spring break, we were in Florida and she was sitting on a bench, and I was feeding her balls on one leg, standing on one leg and on a bench, and on a cooler and various things. So she just really, I think mentally worked really hard when she couldn't hit balls. And I just knew that when her time was coming, that it would not take her that long because she put in the time, more mentally, and then obviously physically. She could always serve. Okay, even if she could serve on one leg, and now her serve is even more powerful. If that was even a factor, but when she played that competitive first match, she was just so excited. I think she couldn't understand how to handle her enthusiasm with the idea to actually play a competitive match. So when the match came down to her at Georgia, and it was 3-all, Haley was coaching her, and she it's almost like she had prepared for this for the last year, and her the calmness just came over her, and she just the smile came on her face. She said, she goes to Haley, go, let's do this. And so I think, again, you're right. 2 weeks from being in panic mode to beating the NCAA champ, number one player in the nation, and 3-all at Georgia, big crowd. But those things were very nothing compared to what she'd been dealing with for the last 11 months. And I think she was ready and excited to be in that position, for the first time. Really, the only time she's ever been in 3-all.
Yeah,
So,
and that's because she wins too fast. Again, 17-1 overall on the year, and yeah, it's been a remarkable story. And obviously, to have two freshmen come in January, as you mentioned, in Alanis and Claire, not something perhaps you had preconceived of doing in when you were first recruiting them. Not something you have done a ton of either. I feel like in Carolina women's tennis history, at least certainly recent history. And I'm curious how that onboarding process was and if the experience you had this year might open you up to maybe pursuing doing that more in the future.
well, Tatum
Oh,
did
that's
it.
true. That's true.
Elizabeth Scotty, okay.
Was she a
Annika,
fall? She was a winter ad.
Elizabeth Scotty came in January in 2020. So, and then the COVID shut it down. That was her, and then Annika came into redshirt. And we wanted, she was doing so well. We asked her at the end of the year to maybe pull her redshirt and compete for us. She said no, thankfully, because then she was able to use the fifth year.
Okay.
So she was technically there 6 years.
Mhm.
But yeah. So, and then Kate Vial before that. So we've had some really, really good January enrollees. And they've all been early, graduating high school early, and it's been successful. So, and they've really adapted to the culture of our program really well.
Yeah. No, and it speaks
Oh,
to.
and we have Anna Fry coming in January this year.
Okay.
So, it's something that we'll continue to look towards in the future.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and obviously those two freshmen this year. When I watch Alanis, do you see the young Haley Carter like out there?
Oh my gosh,
Right? It's that's why you're just like, you know what, you two figure it out.
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the, it's interesting, that the sliding, the squeaking of the tires, the shoes, and the athletic gets, the defensive gets. Atlantis does a few more tweeners than Haley did, but the amount of scrambling from side to side and running balls and never getting a winner hit on them is remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and all the slices, just all of
yeah.
it. Yeah, and it's just that's very funny. Yeah, it's been fun to watch certainly, and her and Reese fitting as well as I have in doubles. Boy, is that pairing successful. It does feel like it was a little bit of a slower burn for Claire to find her footing, and now here at the end of the season, to your point, the result against Collard, and just more broadly watching her find that comfort level. What do you think clicked?
Again, I think she was thrown to the fire at the very beginning. January 20th, she was up a set and 4-1 against Collard, and unfortunately we didn't able to finish it off in two sets, and ultimately became the last match on, and played remarkable tennis. And it was difficult. The crowd, the men's players, they were just, it was challenging for her, I think. And I think she felt like she let the team down, and she had a chance, to play her again and at indoors, and didn't play as well. Clark played, even better. And I think she just, that, feeling of an early in your career and not having these matches, these reps, like a fall experience, under your belt. I think that really put a lot of pressure on her. And so, I think, just she lost some confidence, and she played some tough players too. I mean, some really tough players. Grant, from Georgia, that was a tough match. Obviously tricky players. Players that come in. So, Batesti at Auburn was tough for her. So she's really, there wasn't a lot of growing up to do as early as we needed her. And then so she's really been incredible in the last month and a half, winning all three of her matches at ACC in decisive fashion. So, really proud of her. Our confidence is growing, and it's really helped, really anchor, because in the past, one of our strengths has been the bottom of our lineup, and now she's making that position, a very big strength for us right now.
No, it's again been impressive to see her continue to get better. And obviously, this season with the expanded ACC, I think you guys are up to 17 women's teams now. You guys made the choice not to play every team in the conference. I'm curious if, on reflection, do you wish you had? I mean, you ultimately got to play Virginia twice by circumstance in the pre conference scheduled meeting, but is that something, just looking at how the rankings unfolded this year, you would like to play everyone moving forward?
Absolutely not. I mean,
Okay.
I was a big advocate to not do that. If we played everybody, we would play 9 weekends in a row. We would start the weekend after national indoors because we go a week earlier for ACCs because of teams and exams. We have mandation of schools in our conference that can't play ACCs during exams, so we have to finish when we do. So you're talking about the health of the student athlete. Again, not having potentially one of your weekends of spring break, to do something, to play every weekend, 9 weekends in a row. And it's just, to me, it is very unhealthy in my opinion. And so, and also it was a close vote, but I do think though it ultimately came down to, in my opinion, health of the student athlete. Other ones like Jeff Weichner and some others that, what, he would not have gotten in the NCAA tournament if he didn't manipulate his schedule to help himself non-conference wise to get him in. So there's there's our conference is so strong. There's teams like Alabama that was ranked high enough, Florida was ranked high enough, they couldn't get in the tournament because they didn't have a record of 500 or better. Okay, there are teams in our conference that got in because they had a 500 record or better because they able to get those non-conference matches that they need. SEC and ACC, we each have 6 teams in the round 16. Okay, so we do not need to play everybody. So this next year we don't play NC State in the conference schedule, but you know what? We're playing them. Okay, so non-conference. So we're going to play Virginia conference and non-conference. So you have the ability as a coach to play who you need or want in a non-conference situation. I think it's the most healthy thing, and you get one of your spring breaks off, and you can do something that is more team oriented or whatever your coach or program needs and wants.
I love that perspective. I hadn't heard that perspective, and so I appreciate you sharing it with us today. And certainly just looking at your schedule more broadly, you mentioned we talked about the Virginia non-conference match, the Georgia non-conference match, which has been a staple of the schedule certainly over the past multiple seasons. But it did feel lighter. Like I felt you played a lighter load pre-national indoors, a lighter load pre-conference play than in years past. Am I just wrong about that?
Yeah, you're wrong. You're
Okay.
wrong. Yeah, because in the past we did play Auburn and Georgia,
Yeah.
okay, but we substitute Auburn with Virginia,
Okay.
okay. So we always typically play like two tough non-conference matches before indoors.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we typically try and do. This year coming up, we're playing three. We're playing Virginia, NC State, and Georgia. So those are, and we're adding that extra one because we're not this year. We're not on our conference schedule. We're not playing NC State and Wake. Wake does not want to play us non-conference, and we're not playing Cal and Stanford. So that's a miss. So, but we are playing Virginia. So that we added one more good non-conference match. And our kickoff was more challenging than normal. Okay, with Wisconsin, Arizona State, okay, and Alabama. So that was, again, people thought we were down, which we were. We were losing a lot. So teams wanted to come in and have an opportunity, which they did, and I was proud of our team for again accomplishing a berth to the team indoors, which we've always in my 22 years here have always qualified, which has been great.
No, it's again so many different accomplishments for this group here this season. Was there a match in particular you felt proudest of this team here in 2025? A match where you felt like we learned the most about ourselves here today?
I mean, you have to go with the Virginia match. I mean, I think the Virginia match, having lost to them twice and playing them in the finals after playing them in the finals last year. So there was just a lot of a lot to gain. And I think our team really came out to prove something, and for them to repeat as ACC champs after this, losing those 6 seniors is pretty remarkable for this young group.
Yeah. To that point, just because we haven't brought her up yet, and in case you're ever wondering, what do I do with my free time? I'm not saying I spent 30 minutes on this, but I would say I thought about it for 10. I was having the internal debate of does Carson's face go up on the UNC women's tennis Mount Rushmore? Like it's because the case is pretty extensive now. Like the resume is there. Certainly, there's a back room in the conference center at the tennis facility where they have those conversations. She popped her head in. She was like, "Hey, what's up in here?" And they're like, "No, no, no, come sit down. Like we want to talk to you." Um, her season here this final year, the fact that she seems to have found her best tennis here at the end as well. Just talk me through again. I know her and Lindsay obviously both seniors on this team, but this last hurrah for her to be that connective thread. Talk me through her year.
Well, she has a record that I think will never be broken at UNC.
Okay.
I really don't think it'll be broken. Um, and what it is she's made four NCAA singles and four NCAA doubles appearances. So she's 8 for 8.
That's
And
crazy.
I think obviously Haley was 7 for 8. I made a mistake, didn't play with the right doubles partner, and but it's really really difficult to do that. Okay, especially now where you have to kind of earn your way in. So whether that continues or not. So this year in the fall, where she had to earn it in the fall and singles and doubles and really take a young player in Susanna who, just fresh out of high school and just groom her and mold her and help her and it's just what a leader she has been. She's been the best leader, on the court, off the court that we've ever had. No question about it. And there was a period where she was struggling, and there was times in their career where she was struggling. 2023 as a sophomore, she was coming in the NCAA tournament not in her best form. And what did she do? She found her form when no one thought she was going to find it and beat Rajecki to clinch the championship match. So it's amazing the power of her positivity and just her resiliency and toughness and just love for this program and want to be. And I think for a while there, I think she was doing so much leadership. She was putting a lot of pressure on herself that it was really, tough on her. So it's nice and wonderful to see her able to kind of relax and find her footing now and playing so well and still leading great off the court, but playing amazing tennis on the court.
On the Mount Rushmore?
100%,
Yeah, I think I
100%.
think I agree. And
Well, she's one of only six players that have 100 wins singles and doubles.
okay, 100,
She has the 8 for 8.
Okay.
Okay, she's a five-time All-American.
Sure.
She's an NCAA champion. Played in the
Sure.
U.S. Open.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I mean, she clinched the NCAA championship
Jack, yeah,
twice.
it's
I
true.
mean, I don't really. I don't. I mean, there's. I told her during our senior banquet last week. I mean, really is nothing else for her to accomplish.
Yeah.
Really, she's done everything. So I mean, and she's for sure. I mean, no question about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really funny you bring up the senior banquet just to rehash a memory between the two of us. Someone asked me recently, who's the person I miss most covering? And I said Alexa Graham, and they said, why? And I said, because Coach Kalbas used to confuse me for her. And I was like, I miss those texts. Like,
I know.
it's devastating. There's no one else out there. I've tried. Like, Keena Graham close, but not close enough. And so,
Well,
all,
next year with Reese's senior year, would you, if we invite you, would you come to the banquet?
I mean, as long as
Yeah.
I can wear a hat.
All
No,
right.
of course,
All right.
I would get that.
It's
I would be
it's
honored.
it's a special. It's a really special event. It's one that um is amazing. The seniors give a speech, and it's truly remarkable. And our two seniors, Lindsay and Carson, did just a fantastic job. So I'll it's typically the end of April, early May, but if
We'll
we'd
check the
love to have you there if
calendars.
you're available.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Coach. I'm honored. Yeah. Look, again, it's a special group, certainly. If you could, I'm asking every coach this. 'Cause I like to spice things up here in a new season. If you could reallocate how you budgeted time this year, what's one thing you would have budgeted more time to practice for this group?
I mean, obviously, great question. I I would have I would have loved to have had um, a little bit more of time before we played Virginia. First off, I think that was a great wake up call for us. I think competitively, we were not ready for that situation, especially the youngsters. I don't think if you watch that match, we did not compete the way we are competing now. I think we were kind of going into that match, not knowing what to expect. So I would have probably liked to have had um, a little bit more competitive preparation for that. But I think that helped us for the next couple weekends, and then indoors. I think um, I think we've really learned from our losses, and I think what we've done every time we did take a loss, I think our team has really tried to handle it, really well. So, um, when I rewind the tape to a great degree, there's not anything I would really change too much, except that probably maybe early in the season trying to give our players a little bit more competitive preparation for those first few tough matches.
It's fair. The results speak for themselves. My last three questions for you. More broadly, obviously, this week transfer portal opens. I'm just curious if now that it's more normalized, like we are used to this being a part of the roster creation process, has your approach to that changed at all as it's normalized over these past few seasons?
Um, we're looking at it. Yeah, we're looking at the transfer portal. I mean, that's something that you have to kind of be privy of, and for us, having to replace six seniors and trying to spread out, the scholarships from year to year. So that's something that we're trying to do to manage our roster. So um, we're a program that again tries to bring in obviously the best players, but also the best people. So the transfers have to be also really good people that could really fit into our culture. So, but we're looking into it for
Oh,
sure.
oh, fair. I don't know how you cannot at this point. All right, I'm gonna throw a lot of matchups at you here. I apologize. So if one in particular jumps out to you, remember it: Georgia, Cal, Michigan, Texas, Auburn, Duke, Stanford, Oklahoma State, Virginia, Tennessee, UCLA, Texas A&M, Ohio State, LSU. If you did not have to focus on your own match here this weekend, which of those would most intrigue you and why?
I think I really a lot of them are really good. Great matchups, probably some of the best round of 16 matchups we've ever had. And a lot of them are teams that we've played. And so the one that intrigues me the most is the Auburn Duke one. Um, I know it's an 8-9 matchup, but I think Auburn's very good, and obviously Duke is very good. Um, Duke's really tough at home. We know how Auburn can come in on the road in these situations, with Jordan and what they did to us last year. So that one is very intriguing. The Stanford, Oklahoma State, the 2 unseeded, is really intriguing. Stanford can win the doubles point. They can really do damage against anybody. Um, Cal's really tricky. Cal's really tricky. I think they're starting to peak at the right time. They did not play that great against Virginia ACC, but that one's very intriguing against Georgia. Um, and so, and obviously Virginia Tennessee is going to be an interesting match. With Scotty going against Sarah, and so that's going to be a very intriguing, and obviously Peachy there too. So, um, a lot of really good matches. And um, I don't really, we didn't play Texas, didn't play Michigan, so I don't really know that one, per se, how that one will go. So I don't really know a lot about that one. And then the other one was Texas A&M and who's it?
UCLA.
And UCLA. So again, some interesting matches. So I mean, just uh, I mean, I think there's only two of them on Saturday. I think, right? Yeah, and then six of them on
I
Friday.
believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I'll be able to watch the two on Saturday. But really exciting weekend of women's college tennis for sure.
I figured you and Jamie, there'd be a text exchange where it's like, look, you guys play Friday, we'll play Saturday. Everyone can go to both. We all win. It's like, now let's both play at 5.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's our matches. I mean, it's going to be standing room only. There's not going to be a seat to be had. So somebody wearing Duke blue, they probably wouldn't be allowed in. So,
it's they'd have to come incognito. I like that. That's very, very funny. Well, my last question for you, obviously, it's an NC State program. I think you might have heard of. and you guys are both younger groups, of course, but 4-3 match earlier this season, you guys played in Chapel Hill. I'm curious, the other thing I wanted to ask all of you coaches, what you view as their team's biggest strength and what it's going to take for you guys to knock them off.
Well, they're great coaches. I mean, they have great coaches, great preparation. They have, as you know, and you say it all the time, they have a system that they don't really care about the opponent. They play their system and they drill it in and they perfect it. And so you have to kind of deal with their aggressiveness and their system and their coachability. And their players get better every year. They're there and throughout the year. So come postseason time, they're going to play they're going to be playing their best tennis, and they're not afraid of the moment. So, um, just big challenge for us, exciting opportunity, and but it starts with their coaches and how they prepare their team.
Yeah, no, and again, you said it, standing room only. This has certainly been, I guess I haven't listened to it yet, but Simon told me that our mutual friend John Parsons said that the UNC NC State rivalry is cooling of late. That's crazy talk. I was like, what are you talking? It's like, look, if you want to say Georgia Texas A&M is the best rivalry of the 2020s, I would raise you. You guys played in the 2023 final. Like, there's good cases to be made for both. We can litigate that later, but certainly looking forward to watching this round of 16 match play out. And it is always a pleasure to be joined by UNC women's tennis head coach Brian Kalbas. Coach, thank you as always for taking the time to chat. Obviously, wishing you and the Heels luck here this weekend, and very much looking forward to seeing you all compete.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. You do such a great job.
Record